next week again.
But you know, it's a nice thing, as you're driving down the highway, it's all green again, you know, the winter green.
Not quite as green as I want to see it.
I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 7:30 PM in the Aldermanic Chamber, which has been duly noticed in 2 places, including the city's website, in accordance with the requirements of RSA 91A. The prayer will be offered this evening by City Clerk Dan Healy, and Alderman Senate will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir.
Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance, please.
Alderman Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Clee.
I am here. I am attending remotely due to illness. I am alone, and I can hear everything.
Alderman Chess. Alderwoman Smith. Alderman Tebow.
Here.
Alderman Gregg. Or Alderman O'Brien, sorry. Alderman O'Brien.
I think I'm here.
Alderman Gregg. Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Senate.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Present.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I'm here. I'm attending remotely due to childcare issues, and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Morgan.
I am here attending remotely also due to childcare issues, and I am alone and can hear everyone.
Alderman Lopez.
I'm here. I don't have children.
Alderman Wilshire.
I'm here.
12 present, 3 absent.
Thank you. Also joining us this evening is Mayor Jim Donchis and Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. Mayor, did you wish to address the board this evening?
Yes, thanks, Madam President. First, I wanted to extend congratulations to Director Bobby Bagley, who was recognized as Citizen of the Year by the New Hampshire Social Workers Association. As a result of all of her tireless work and dedication to serving the homeless population here in Nashua, and for her other work around the state. She was nominated by Melbourne Moran, former alderman, and certainly the honor is well deserved, and I wanted to extend the city's congratulations to her. Also, congratulations to Megan Karen and Doria Brown. Megan Karen, Chief of Staff, Doria Brown, Energy Manager, for being recognized as part of the 40 under 40 by the New Hampshire Union Leader. Again, these women serve the city very well and have been recognized statewide for their dedication and their abilities. So congratulations to them also. I wanted to mention tonight, Madam President, R26007, there's an amendment on your desk to reduce the figure for the design of the Public Works Garage from $5.5 to $3 million, which should cover it. Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services, is on for any really detailed questions. But one thing I did want to address is that there is a reason that we're not asking for the entire project now, the authorization for the cost of the entire project. And the reason is that we have found that it is it results in greater precision and efficiency, I think, if we do the design first, get an actual cost, and then bond for that amount. And we have arrived at that approach in part as a result of comments from various members of the Board of Aldermen. The problem with putting out a full cost number before the design is arrived at is that it tends to be an estimate, a guess, which can be off, high or low. And then if we've authorized not enough, we have to come back with, try to get further authorization, or if we've shot too high, then the idea is, well, you didn't know what, you should have been lower. Again, basically as a result of, or as a result of comments from various aldermen, we have adopted this, I think, more sensible approach of arriving at an actual cost, an actual design, and then come back to you with a real figure. Finally, Madam President, I wanted to mention the two resolutions regarding, and again, back to the garage. This should not be acted on tonight, other than the amendment, because we haven't held a public hearing on that yet. So, if you would amend it, I think the President is prepared, or you, Madam President, are prepared to set up public hearing, and the public hearing would be on the lower $3 million figure. We also have the resolutions regarding the additional money for snow plowing. As you know, this has been a tough winter. Director Foto told me today 23 different snow incidents to which Public Works has responded. They had planned at a maximum to spend about $1.5 million this year, but they've already spent $1.8 million making sure that the streets and sidewalks are clear. So this would appropriate an additional $500,000 into the trust fund, of which $300,000 would be immediately needed. Any money that is not used would be carried forward in the trust fund for future years like this one, but hopefully in the winters to come, we won't need to spend quite as much as we are this winter. And finally, Madam President, the resolution regarding the hydroelectric dam, that money is needed to make sure that we can license the Mine Falls Dam, which when it's fully operational can result in over $1 million of revenue every year. And I think Director Sullivan is here to answer any questions on that if you have them. And that is all I have, Madam President.
Response to the remarks by the mayor. Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the comments about the not asking for the entire amount. I can certainly understand that. And I've expressed to Director Cummings my concern and my question as to why we don't simply ask for the full amount. And my concern is this, is that if you were to say you were to ask for the amount for the design, and let's call it $3 million, because that's what we're going to revise it down to, and for some reason, whatever reason, the total project cost when it comes to us for a bond does not get approved, my concern is then we're out the $3 million that we bonded in addition to the other two that we've already spent getting to that $55 million. So my question is, couldn't we simply ask for the full amount, maybe take a conservative guess or a conservative estimate, because we have had the number of $55 million, and then if we don't need that much, then we don't sell those bonds?
I mean, that is an approach that certainly we've taken in the past, so yes, it could be done that way. I mean, either way, you result in one problem or another. You've identified certainly something that could happen. I would only say that the design would always be there and it wouldn't wear out. So if the board decided that they didn't think it was worth replacing the Public Works garage now, maybe in 5 years the board would say yes and the design would still be still be good. I mean, having visited the Public Works Garage, on a number of occasions, I would recommend that people on the board, if you're thinking about this project or questioning it, visit there as well. I mean, this building was built in the late 70s, not the greatest construction. I think it was paid for by a federal grant. And, it is just seen its time. I mean, it's got mold, it's no ventilation, it doesn't hold nearly enough equipment. We're leaving hundreds of pieces of equipment outdoors. The break room is minuscule given the size of the workforce. I think one of our aldermen is even helping to replace some of the chairs over there because they're in such bad shape. So overall, the building is just, and the pits where the mechanics use to fix the underside of vehicles such as trucks do not comply with OSHA. They're grandfathered, but they're still not a model of safety. So I think the project is one that is necessary if we really want Public Works to function effectively and efficiently, but certainly people could disagree. So yes, what you've identified is the problem with the approach that we're seeking right now, but on the other hand, we have been criticized in the past for not having an actual number and coming up with an estimate. It's not good, The project actually costs more or less, so in this case, we responded to those comments and did it this way.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Alderman Dowd?
Yes, my take on this is that in the past, we haven't come up with a good number. We come up with an estimate for buildings, especially in schools. But if you do a design, now you'll have a reasonable thing to come up with a construction number on, because the design will give you something you can give to a contractor and come up with an exact price. So I think it's a much more prudent way to do the design up front. And I think we've sort of looked at this in all of our projects, and perhaps even any downstream school projects, to do the design first so that we can get a really good estimate of what it's going to take.
Alderman Johnson?
Thank you very much. I will agree with you, Mayor, that I think that we should get the actual cost and the design first before we go out for bonding, because I'd like to know what that project is going to cost before I would give my stamp of approval on anything. Yes, and I did bring over some chairs, and I was in the break room last Tuesday night during the storm. I feel terrible for our workers in the condition, but I'm not sold on the building 100% because I think there's a lot of obstacles out there yet. We have behind the building the PFAS, that we have to do the testing of the soil. But I understand, and I've looked over the information that was given to us. I think that building was neglected a lot. I think my concern is that we're going to build a whole new building and we're not going to maintain it. I'm not going to be here in 30, 40 years, and I'll be elsewhere, most likely. But I don't want to leave it to my kids and the rest of the citizens of this city that says, okay, we built this gorgeous building and we didn't maintain it again like all the buildings that we have in Nashua. We built schools because we didn't take care of the buildings. The school district has $13 million of deferred maintenance. So you don't take care of what you have, and then we have to build more. So that's what my biggest concern is. But I do agree with you that we should get the actual cost and a design, and that's the way you can make a good decision, which you would do if you were building your house. You wouldn't just say, give me an estimate, and then as you're going through construction, you say, well, gee, I don't have the money to finish the project. And you can't ask taxpayers for that when you're building your own. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mayor.
And thank you for the chairs, so.
Oh, anytime.
Okay, recognition period. Mayor, did you have a
Yes.
recognition this evening?
Sue Mead is here, I believe, in the back.
Yes.
Come on up, please. Well, we are honoring Sue Mead for many years of dedicated service to the city of Nashua. So we have a formal recognition which we wanted to present to Ms. Mead. And it reads, Sue Mead has served with remarkable dedication as Director of Outreach for Greater Nashua Mental Health, serving the organization with vision, integrity, and unwavering compassion. Throughout her distinguished tenure, Sue has championed access to high-quality, comprehensive mental health services for individuals and families in our community, ensuring that care is delivered with dignity, respect, and hope. And whereas under her leadership, Greater Nashua Mental Health has expanded critical programs, strengthened community partnerships, and advanced innovative approaches to behavioral health, positively impacting countless lives across Nashua and the surrounding region. Sue's commitment to collaboration has fostered strong relationships among healthcare providers, schools, public safety officials, and community organizations, reinforcing a shared mission to support the well-being of all residents. And whereas her tireless advocacy has helped reduce stigma surrounding mental health, elevate awareness, and inspire a culture of empathy and understanding within the city of Nashua. And whereas Sue's legacy of service, professionalism, and heartfelt leadership will endure in the strengthened systems of care and in the gratitude of the many individuals and families whose lives have been improved throughout her work. And now, therefore, I, Jim Donchis, Mayor of the City of Nashua, and the Board of Aldermen, on behalf of the people of Nashua, extend our deepest gratitude and warmest congratulations to Sue Mead for her extraordinary service and commitment to our community, and we extend heartfelt best wishes upon the occasion of her retirement.
Thank you. Thank you. What an honor. Thank you, Mayor Donchis, President Wilshire, Alderman. You all work tirelessly to make this a better city. Thank you. I've had the great opportunity to work here 40 years with the Mental Health Center, and Dr. Cynthia Whitaker is back there with my supervisor. As of today, it's no longer Scott Wellman. And I've met so many passionate souls that in the continuum of care that really do try to make an impact, and I've learned something new every day. And I'd be remiss not to put a plug in for those who come April 15th won't have a place to stay. The overflow shelter, the shelters have 20 people. I was at the encampment meeting today with fire chief and other city workers here, and 40 people at the Elm Street have nowhere to go. So I ask you to keep them in mind and help this ward come up with some innovative solutions to help a short-term situation for shelter needs. So that would be my request. But thank you. It's been an honor and privilege, and this is really touching. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Reading minutes of previous meetings. There being no objection, I'll declare the minutes of the special and regular Board of Aldermen meetings of January 13th, 2026, February 12th, 26, and February 24th, 26 be accepted, placed on file, and the reading suspended. Communications requiring only procedural actions and written reports from liaisons.
Communication has been received from Lisa Photo, Director of Public Works, regarding referral from Board of Aldermen R-26-007. Communication has been received from Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services, regarding communication seeking an amendment to R-26-007 in an explanation of cost. And communication has been received from Laurie Wilshire, President, Board of Aldermen, regarding calling a special Board of Aldermen meeting on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, relative to a feasibility update on Fire Station Number 5, Pine Hill.
There being no objection, I will accept the communications and place them on file.
Communication has been received from Linda Laflamme, Chairman, Board of Library Trustees, regarding request for joint convention, Kristen Kane nomination. And communication has been received from Linda Laflamme, Chairman, Board of Library Trustees, regarding request for joint convention, Ernest Jetty nomination.
There being no objection, I'll accept the communications, place them on file, and schedule a joint convention with the Board of Library Trustees for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 at 7:30 PM in the Aldermanic Chamber. Period for public comment relative to items expected to be acted upon this evening. I have 3 people signed up. Stephen Scare. I'm not sure what you signed up for.
Stephen Scare, 111 East Hobart Street, speaking on supporting the town of Merrimack in its opposition to the ICE detention center.
We're not taking that up this
Which is on
evening.
unfinished business.
We're not taking that up this evening, Mr. Scare.
Okay.
Sorry. Matt Sullivan?
Good evening, Madam President, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director. Here on behalf of the communication requiring final approval relative to the Nashua Transit System fares. We presented this proposal to the Infrastructure Committee and held a public hearing just about 2 weeks ago. Had some great discussion with the committee members and have done substantial public outreach in the interest of trying to move forward with a proposal for fare increases that is both nominal but also critical for the Nashua Transit System in its attempt to stabilize transportation funding within the city of Nashua. I won't review the detail of the proposal within my comments right now, but I'm happy to answer any questions when that piece of communication comes up. And I thank you for all of your support for Nashua Transit System and for the fare increase that's proposed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Fred Teboom.
Okay, my name is Fred Teboom. I reside at 24 Cheyenne Drive in Nashua, New Hampshire. First of all, I want to mention 2 resolutions on the agenda, R2610 and R2612. Both of these are supplemental appropriations. Supplemental appropriations require a definition of how much is under the spending cap, or if it's over, how much money is over the spending cap. And that's supposed to be part of the resolutions. None of it is stated. I pointed this out during the Budget Committee meeting some time ago, weeks ago. The ordinances are valid. The ordinances define what is supposed to be in a calculation. I know that the mayor has many times said the ordinances are not valid, but he's never backed us up with any legal position. So if you think, Mayor, our ordinances on the spending cap are not valid, I would expect to see the attorney to come to a legal memorandum, which he has never done. If he did, he can correct me. Now, I also wish to talk about R26012, which deals with the 1 megawatt and 3 megawatt power plants. The Mine Falls power plant, by the way, is eroding the Nashua River right behind my property and other properties surrounding me. And it won't be long before one of the sheds will fall into the water. And I'll be able to sue the city or the state at that point. Now, in the memo written by, on February 19 to the Board of Aldermen, is mentioned a $6.5 million repair cost for Jackson Fall back in 2019. The resolution now requires an additional $600,000 repair cost for a turbine blade, not the turbine, not the generators, just for the turbine blade in Mine Falls Park. It mentions the need to build fish passage designs to allow fish to go upstream and spawn. It's a requirement by the state, and I think it's a federal requirement. Don't know. All these are costs. Why is there no special revenue funds for any revenues derived from these generators? There isn't. The
30
memorandum
seconds.
that I mentioned earlier mentions $1.5 million going directly to the general fund, where it disappears into nowhere's land. But now you need $600,000 more to repair something. I have no idea where the $6.5 million came from. What you need as a board is a 5-year or 10-year cost analysis that shows how the $1.5 million revenue between both dams.
Time is up, Mr. Tebow.
How that is correlated against maintenance costs, operating costs, and acquisition costs. If that calculation
Mr.
does not
Tebow,
show
your time is
cost and
up.
benefit,
Please wrap it up.
then dump this resolution. But right now, table it until you get that kind of analysis. Thank you.
Okay. Communications requiring final approval.
Communication has been received from Mayor Jim Donchis regarding $1 million contract award, 2026 paving program, Contract 2.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I motion to accept, place on file, and award a construction contract for the 2026 paving program, Contract 2, to Sunshine Paving Corporation in the amount not to exceed $4,972,326.50. Funding will be through Department 160 Admin Engineering Fund, Bond 54 Property Services. And that by roll call, please?
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Okay, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries.
Communication has been received from Mayor Jim Donchis regarding $1 million contract award, Class A Biosolids Upgrade Final Design.
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to accept, place on file, and approve a contract with Wright Pierce for the Class A Biosolids Upgrade Final Design Phase for plans and specifications submittals up to 60% design in the amount not to exceed $1,061,779. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund, SRF Loan 53 Professional and Technical Services.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman
Yes.
Smith. Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries.
Communication has been received from Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director, Camille Correa, Transit Administrator, regarding proposed fare increases effective April 6, 2026.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make the motion to approve the 2026 proposed Nashua Transit System fare increase for the city bus, ADA paratransit, and the Senior Demand Response Service. And may I speak briefly?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes, as what Director Sullivan says, Community Development Director Sullivan said, it was heard at the infrastructure. One of my concerns was, you know, there's a group amongst us that do find the fare increase could potentially limit them. But there are community organizations that are out there that do supply passes for those that do have a need, and all they'll need to do is just to seek the resource. But let's look what's happening in the world. I don't want to get political here over a bus transit thing, but we have an incursion that's going on somewhere where oil and everything, so diesel prices really are going up. So we need to help fund this service. It is a great convenience to our citizens, and we need to fund it appropriately. So I support this, and I hope you do too. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. I had concerns in the committee meeting. It wasn't so much about the 25 cents, 50 cents, 75. It was that $10 on the book. Because you were going from $20, 8 rides, to $30, 10 rides, you're getting 2 more rides out of it, but it is more money. And some people in the community don't have it. And I also mentioned, where it's mass transit, you never catch up with mass transit. You're always behind in mass transit. If you look at the MBTA, they're always in the red. They're never in the black because you can't keep up with it. I've had a hard time going back and forth on this. And I know that I should do this because we got to keep the mass transit going for people who have to have it. I just hope that it does not affect many in the community, that it's going to hurt them, because $10 is a lot in this day and age. Social Security doesn't go up with the rate of inflation, unfortunately, and pensions don't do it either. And a lot of our seniors and people with a disability sometimes are behind the 8 ball. So I will support this, but I'm hesitation.
Further discussion?
Madam President?
Alderman Clay.
Thank you very much. I'm going to support this, and I was there also during the conversation, and it has been an extraordinary number of years. I don't have my notes with me at the moment, but I want to say that it was like 12 or 13 years or even longer than that since the prices have gone up. And in truth, if I remember correctly, it wasn't that long ago that they had to come in to request more funding because of salaries and et cetera. While I do agree that this is going to affect the public and probably the more vulnerable of the public, there are organizations, as was pointed out by the Alderman at large, that will help and assist. But we do need to continue at least looking at being fair and reasonable, and compared to other communities, I believe this does in fact fit in. So I will be supporting this.
Anyone else? Alderman Lopez.
Yeah, I will be reluctantly supporting this, but the observation has been made multiple times that there are agencies that will help people with bus passes, and I would point out, unless we're going to be giving them a specific discount, which we could consider doing, they have a finite budget. So we raise the fare, that means they have less bus passes available, and we're all pretty enthusiastically sending more people over to them. There's a point where, as a city, we need to balance our books, and I understand that 100%. I know we've gone, we've seen the danger, I guess, of over relying on federal funding in some areas, and particularly the bus system is one, the transit system is one where we rely heavily on it, and we've had to increase our support for it locally in order just to keep it running. So I will 100% support this, but I do caution my fellow board members, we can't always rely on nonprofits and charities to help people who are in need, because they also are struggling under the same economies that we are.
Anyone else? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
13 yeas, 0 nays.
that motion carries. Petitions,
None.
nominations, appointments, and elections.
None.
Reports of committees. There being no objection, I'll declare the report of the October 27th, 2025 Budget Review Committee be accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I'll suspend the rules to allow for the oral report of the Budget Review Committee meeting held Monday, March 9, 2026, regarding proposed resolutions R2610 and R2612. Alderman Dowd.
Yes, last night we had a public hearing and a budget review on both of these resolutions. There was actually no public comment, and both of these resolutions passed unanimously. So I would suggest that we pass them here.
Okay. Confirmation of mayor's appointments.
Clarification of Nadra Bell's appointment to Pennachuck Corporation Board of Directors.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to motion to amend Nadra Bell's appointment by the Board of Aldermen of February 10th, 2026 to replace all references in such February 10th, 2026 appointment of Pennachuck Water with Pennachuck Corporation, to confirm and to ratify Nadra Bell's appointment as of February 10th, 2026 to the Pennachuck Corporation Board of Directors, and to amend the expiration date of such appointed term from the date of the annual shareholders meetings in 2028 to the date of the annual shareholders meeting of Pennachuck Corporation in 2029. And by roll call, please.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman Clements.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries.
Board of Public Works Retirement System Trustees.
There being no objection, I'll confirm the reappointment of David Fredette, 4 Henry David Drive, 408 Nashua, with a term to expire February 10th, 2028, to the Board of Public Works Retirement System Trustees. David is unable to be here this evening. He will be sworn in at a later date.
Cultural Connections Committee.
There being no objection, I'll confirm the reappointment of Donna Marceau, 37 Pinewood Road, Hudson, with a term to expire February 28th, 2029, to the Cultural Connections Committee. I don't see Donna here this evening. Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. I'm going to kind of object to this a little bit, only because I had asked for the reappointments to come in, so where I didn't know them, to interview them. And I don't think this was fair to a new member of the committee. So I kind of object to all these reappointments. I just want it on the record.
Okay.
Because they did not come in and no one had a chance to interview them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ethics Review Committee.
There being no objection, I confirm the reappointment of Roger Wiseman, 88 Peel Road, Nashua, with a term to expire March 16, 2029, to the Ethics Review Committee. Is Mr. Wiseman here? Yes. Oh, please come forward to take the oath of office. Right up here to the attorney's desk.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Ethics Review Committee of the City of Nashua, according to the best of your abilities, and agreeably to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God?
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee.
There being no objection, I will confirm the reappointment of Stephen Kenny, 9 Sagamore Road, Nashua, with a term to expire February 10th, 2029, to the Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee. Is Mr. Kenny here? Please come forward for the oath of office.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Mine Falls Park Advisory Committee, according to the best of your abilities and agreeably to the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire and the rules and regulations of the Nashua City Charter, so help you God? I will. Thank you. Thank you.
Nashua Center for the Arts Board of Trustees.
There being no objection, I'll confirm the reappointments of Judith Carlson, 15 Manchester Street, Nashua, with a term to expire March 10th, 2029, and Philip Sconsis, 14 Ashland Street, Nashua, with a term to expire February 13th, 2029, to the Nashua Center for the Arts Board of Trustees. And I don't see either one of them in the audience. They will both be sworn in at a later date. Unfinished business resolutions.
Second reading of R-26-010, increasing the maximum allowable amount in the Snow Removal Expendable Trust Fund and making a supplemental appropriation of $500,000 of assigned fund balance into the Snow Removal Expendable Trust Fund.
Alderman Tebow.
I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R-26-010 by roll call pursuant to Charter Section 49. I'd like to speak to it.
Alderman Tebow.
Snow. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of snow.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. I understand what Mr. Tebow is talking about with the supplemental appropriations. I feel that these should only be in cases of emergencies, not in cases that you want to spend in other areas. And I understand what he's asking for, and I hope that we can accommodate him and give him the information that he requests. I'm going to support this because of this winter. It was so bad. And if we have another storm, I'm afraid that they're just not going to have enough money to take care of the streets the way we need it at this point in time. If I knew we were in April or May and we were past it, I probably would vote no on this. But because we've had such a harsh winter, I mean, it's nice that we're starting to see the green, brown grass on the highways now that it's melting, but I don't think we're out of the storm center at this point in time. So I'm going to support this time. Thank you.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yeah, just one other thing to keep in mind about this too was that it was originally before us back in February and had to be canceled because of the snow. So we had to move it forward. So it's not like this, it isn't even like this is just coming to us now. This was planned well ahead of time and the money's been spent and we need to reimburse ourselves, so.
Anyone else? Alderman Lopez.
I just want to observe, I think I'm speaking the obvious for everybody, that Department of Public Works has done a really, really, really good job with what they had dealing with massive snowstorms. I have definitely heard from a lot of constituents about areas where there could be improvement. A lot of them are not Department of Public Works. They're private snow relocation removal companies that may be blocking areas or sidewalks. Whenever I have asked Director Photo and said, hey, there's an area that looks like it needs some help, they have done it in a reasonable time frame. Reasonable meaning a day or two, not like let's wake up the crews who just slept after their 72 hours of work. So I just want to give them credit for their work and making sure that all of this got removed.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, would the motion is for final passage. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries, and Resolution 2610 is declared duly adopted.
Second reading of R-26-012, relative to the supplemental appropriation of $600,000 of assigned fund balance into Fund Number 7064 Hydropower Reserve Fund.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move for final passage of R 26012 by roll call pursuant to Charter Section 49, and I'd like to speak to it.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you. This was brought before the Budget Committee last night. We have a turbine that is down, and that is poor timing, given that we are seeing such beautiful snow melt right now. So this will allow them to get it back on as quickly as possible and continue to get the money from the turbine. So I will be supporting this, and I hope everyone else will too.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I too will be supporting this. When Director Sullivan came forward, he spoke about the revenue generated could be from this turbine. Without it, we could lose half of the normally generated revenue, which could be up to 1.9 million. I think he said 700,000 to 1.9 million. Thinking that we could even lose at the lower end of it $350,000 within 2 years. This kind of pays for itself. So I will be supporting this. He also said that if we were going to be replacing this within 1 year or sooner, obviously, he would not have brought this forward, but he said it'll be at least 2 or more years before we do replace these turbines. This $600,000 will also allow them to have the potentially additional funds for any kind of necessary fix for the other turbine. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, before this money goes in, we're down to like about $1 million in that fund. So I hope others will support this.
Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Madam President. I got a couple questions for Director Sullivan through you to him, if possible. If you'd like to come up, please. So my first question is, if we only gave you $500,000, could you replace the blade on the turbine? And what would that do if that's what we wanted to give you?
Sure. Madam President, if I could address
Director
that.
Sullivan.
As I represented last night, we believe on its face that the cost of repair for the turbine is under $500,000 based on the estimate that we have. What we don't know is some of the, I guess, details of roof removal once we get into the actual turbine, what those costs might look like. And to be clear, the cost estimate that we have does not contemplate that. I also anticipate that once we actually get into the turbine and start working on it, there are going to be other costs and other things that are recommended to us to be replaced. So my concern with $500,000 is that that's close to what we know the hard costs to be and the labor. And so there's very little space with us that we have then to work with. The logic here had been that with a $600,000 allocation, that it would give us plenty of space, and that any funding we didn't use would directly lapse right back into the reserve fund, allowing us to do other either improvements that are necessary, or as we discussed last night, purchase backup parts or do any other tweaking to the other turbine that's there. So, you know, I was honest last night with the committee in its conversation. We could probably make this work with $500,000. My concern is that if we can't, that we're going to be back requesting more funding sooner rather than later. And so I think our attempt was to be transparent about that space that we have in the funding up front instead.
Follow up, please.
Yes.
So what you're saying is we don't have any specifics on how we're going to spend the money. We just know we're going to buy a blade but any money that's left over and other repairs, we don't have specific repairs at this time, but we want to give you the money just in case we find extra repairs. Is that what we're saying?
I would say it maybe a little bit differently, and you may find that I'm saying the same thing with different words. But there are costs within that $600,000 that we know. We understand what the turbine, what the blade fabrication is going to cost. We understand generally what this task should cost if it's fairly standard. What we don't have in there is really a general broad contingency in the event that we find something unexpected when we're doing the replacement. So that's the item that I'm really building into the $600,000, Alderman Tebow. The fact that when we get into this aged facility, we simply don't know what we're going to find. So I may have said what you said a little bit differently, and I apologize for that, but I don't want to say that we don't understand what the $600,000 is. We understand a huge piece of it. We don't know what we may find, though, in the end.
Alderman Tebow.
So I think one thing we have to start looking at is when we're paying for things, we're just giving money to departments and not have any specifics. Like, it's not like we have something in here that says Blade will be about $525,000, and then we want to do this. It's just generally $600,000 to fix this, but we don't really have specifics on it. So I think when we start asking, departments start asking for money, we have to be more specific with how we're going to actually spend it, and if we have estimates, that we see those estimates, and that's just my opinion. My last question is, in the public comment, there's lots of questions and theories and stuff thrown out there. I would like you to see if you could address some of them, including the one where the part of the building is going to fall into the river. Can you talk to some of the stuff that was talked about then?
I will do my best.
Okay.
And I do have Deb Chisholm here as well, and I hate to, lay it over to her for those questions, but I think, she has extensive floodplain experience. She has experience with the area that Mr. Tebow is talking about. First, I would say that there's no clear nexus or relationship between any bank erosion and this facility that I'm aware of. And I'll allow Ms. Chisholm to clarify and confirm that because she knows that better than I, but I'm not aware of any direct relationship between the turbine and any erosion that we're seeing. No question we have erosion, no question that our hydro facility is in the river, but we do extensive study to try to understand that exact thing, and I'm not aware of any direct relationship. That said, I think I've said this in the past, certainly Ms. Chisholm has as well. We recognize that there's a case to be made for the hydro facilities operating as an enterprise fund. We've talked about that being a possibility in the past. I don't think we reject that idea. What we haven't done is a deep dive to determine the viability of that moving forward. What I have always said, though, is that the reason doing this as an enterprise fund or a special revenue fund is challenging is that the revenues are incredibly volatile. It's not like parking, it's not like the landfill. The revenues are seasonal. We have huge spikes and we have valleys. So it makes it very challenging to develop a bulletproof strategy when it comes to long-term debt service payment and other obligations that you have to keep up with. And so I don't disagree with the member of the public that an enterprise fund is something that should be looked at, but there are real issues with moving in that direction. I believe the other comments were more general about understanding the business model of the facilities. I don't disagree with that. I think we expect, particularly when we come forward with the bond authorization request to talk about the fish passage, which we know is going to be a big number, we expect there will be questions about what the business case looks like for the turbine. What I'll just say is the idea that, I don't want to turn this into a huge discussion, but the idea that the turbine is either a moneymaker or it's not, and that means we should either get rid of it or keep it, I'm not sure it's that simple. Money making is part of the value, but the other value is the fact that when the facilities were purchased, the idea was there was a value to having green or clean produced power for the city of Nashua. How we monetize that, I think, is different for every person around this horseshoe, but the reality is that it's not just the revenue that we collect, it's actually the idea that we are operating this clean energy producing facility. So I don't know, again, how we put a number on that, but when we come in to talk about the bond, we're going to talk about the business case. And I think it's up to all of you to decide at that point in time, as we're asking for a large appropriation, whether or not the business case is made, and we expect to have to answer those questions.
All right, one last follow-up.
Alderman Tebow.
He's saying, thank you. He mentioned the 6.5 million. Can you speak to that?
Let me ask Ms. Chisholm to address it. I just don't know that number off the top of my head.
Okay.
That one doesn't.
Thank you.
Good evening, Deb Chisholm, Sustainability Department Manager. The 6.5 million is the amount that, approximately the amount that was spent on upgrading the Jackson Mills turbine. All of the turbine, the generator, all of the controls, the powerhouse itself were all replaced. And the year 2019 is when we started that, and we are just barely completing it now in the end of 2025. So it took us a good 6 years to get that thing from start to finish.
Great, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, just a couple of things. One is that, I think it's clear, at least it's clear to me anyway, that we are going to spend $600,000 in the next 5 years on that dam, if not more. So to appropriate the money now, I don't think is an issue, because it's going to get spent one way or the other. The other thing is, as far as contracts and things like that, all of those come before the Finance Committee if they're over $25,000. So anything that, if we approve this tonight, anything that comes from it will eventually be in front of this board again for approval via the Finance Committee. And the last thing is, I agree with part of what Director Sullivan said, in that having the dams in an enterprise fund is probably not a good idea, because the bonds that we have specifically for them, we would have to make sure that the enterprise covered the bonds. In this case, if we take a bond out now for the dam, we can apply the revenue that we get towards that bond, and we can account for that, but we don't have to officially do it. It just comes into the revenue stream of the city. I think that the way we're doing it now is actually better.
Ms. Chisholm, did you want to add something to what Alderman Clemmons?
I did. I just wanted to clarify that the $600,000, if you will you will not see that at the Finance Committee, because those funds will be paid to our existing contractor, and they have subcontractors that will be performing the work. So that money isn't necessarily coming back to Finance for approval.
Alderman Clemmons?
That wouldn't come in a change order?
No. I mean, I'm happy to come to Finance to have that discussion, but.
I'd just be interested to know how that wouldn't come back unless we've already contracted the work.
We have contracted the work with Essex Hydro. They're the company that does all the operation and maintenance of both of the facilities. And they are the ones that are spearheading all of the changes for both of the facilities. So the $600,000 would be paid through them to their subcontractors.
Yeah, I'd like an explanation as to why it wouldn't, a written explanation as to why it wouldn't come before Finance.
We have a multi-year contract with Essex Hydro that does not have a financial number on it necessarily, as far as how much we pay them.
Okay.
I have a list, Alderman Dowd. Trish? Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add, if I'm not mistaken, and Director Sullivan can correct me if I'm wrong on it, and I don't think I heard it mentioned here, but I do remember in the conversation, we also spoke about, in order to be able to fix this turbine, they would have to raise the roof. And I think the Alderman Dowd's favorite expression, unknown, was used during that meeting. So again, I think the $600,000 also will probably include the cost of that. If I may continue, Madam President?
Yes.
I'd also like to say that I too would not be in favor of an enterprise fund. As it was pointed out, the revenues are volatile, and so on. And because we don't always know what's going to be happening, and I also believe that there's always potential from Concord or DES to come in and, put different things upon us, and we may not have those funds to take care of it. I would always hope that we are always in the black when it comes to this, but there's no guarantee because of the volatility. And there was one more thing, and suddenly it has left my mind, and I apologize for that. Let me just look here on my notes. For some reason, I'm having a visual problem with my eyes as well. I think that's probably it at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderwoman Kelly?
Hi, sorry. I muted myself instead of unmuting myself. I just wanted to address the amount. It was talked about in depth last night. I specifically asked if they started with, a question about that particular blade and how much it would take to replace it. That was answered. And then the other thing that I thought was very admirable and smart, knowing what's going on with these turbines, is that there's a little bit of wiggle, like we have in anything, to be able to potentially get some replacement parts to have on hand so that it's not a very long amount of time that these turbines are offline. We know that we've had, a whole system offline for a number of months, and that was a big issue. So there was a lot of forethought that went into the amount that they were requesting, and a little bit of contingency around that idea of once we lift the roof, there might be other things that are not up to par. So we need to try to make it a working turbine. So I thought that they did an excellent job of explaining exactly how they were going to use the money and why they were asking for a little bit of contingency.
Alderman Dowd?
Yes. That unknown unknowns is something that hit all the time. I've got extensive experience both in school projects and in military equipment. When you start opening up a piece of equipment that's this old, they're going to go in to replace the turbine blade. They may find another part that they say, hey, if we don't repair this, it's not going to last, or we can't do the repair without doing that part. It would take them maybe 6 weeks to get back here to get more money. And we're going to lose a whole bunch of revenue, tens of thousands, maybe $100,000 in revenue because we didn't get it fixed in time. I think this almost acts like an insurance policy that we can't afford to not do because it will cost us more in the end. I think the $600,000 is reasonable, and the money they don't spend would go back into the fund for other repairs and maybe other parts. But I can tell you, I've run into this a number of times. The most recent was the elevator at Maine Dunstable School. Anyone on the Joint Special will know about that. We start replacing an elevator, we got to replace the cab because of this, and you run into things that aren't aware of. So it's critically important that they have the money to be able to fix this turbine quickly. Otherwise, we're losing money, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I will support this tonight, but I do want to say that when I see round numbers like this, 600,000, 500,000, I get a little leery about, what does that quote actually look like? Because to my colleague's point, I mean, sometimes you have labor hours, and if it goes over that labor hour, then you're paying double time, and things can escalate quickly, so that's a concern. As far as the enterprise fund goes, and I'm sure my colleagues or anybody in the listening audience will fact check me on this, we do have the landfill, which is technically an enterprise fund that the general fund subsidizes. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a good amount, and it is subject to Department of Environmental Services, and I think we were just dealing with a situation last night about some fee that's placed on by the state, so that's very variable. And that revenue certainly is, while the fees can sometimes remain somewhat static, recyclables and whatnot can vary. So there's a lot of concerns around the enterprise fund that I would be very cautious about putting that label on it, especially if around that. And then finally, to my colleague at large point about finance, did I hear this correctly, that when we contract that work, we are not going to approve that contract through finance?
Deb and I were chatting about Alderman Clemens' question, and first of all, I want to say we think it's a good question, and I think we need to get back to this group about that. There is precedent for one-off work that Essex has done to do immediate repairs in the past that has not been strictly contemplated in their scope of services, but it's been a customary repair, and we have not gone to finance for some of those things. I do think that there's, again, we were just chatting, this is a bit different, I would say. I don't want to commit that it's certainly a change order, but this is a fairly large ticket item. So what I'm happy to do with this group is I can send a follow-up communication back to the board relative to what we said tonight after we investigate it a little further. Again, there is precedent for not going to finance for some of the smaller ticket items that Essex has repaired at these facilities because that is within their scope. But I think there's a question of if it's something larger, does it not require a change order? So we need to talk about that on our end and make sure that we're in good stead, and I can get a communication back to this group.
Thank you.
All set?
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Madam President. So, I mean, we did talk about it in length last night, but obviously, Mr. Tebow wasn't here to ask those questions, and I think, so I thought it was good for Director Sullivan to go through that a little bit. Also, I think we have to start having more discussions, and I know we do the work in committee, but this budget's going to be tight. We saw with the school budget's already pushing 6%. That's a huge number. And so when we start looking at numbers, to Alderman Sullivan's point, we just get a round number slapped up there and we just do it, let's go with that. No specifics, no, we were very specific on a $55,000 bill last night. So I want to make sure going forward that we are looking at every single dollar because the budget season is going to be tough. So I will support this because I know it generates revenue, but I don't really want to. I feel like I have to. And, because we have to get this in because we're already past the prime season of melting snow, most likely. We're not going to get it in time to get the revenue we really want from it. So we got to get it in. If we delay it any longer, it's going to be even worse. So I'm going to support it, but I don't want to because I don't think, again, I think we're getting a little loose with the money. And I think we got to, and when I say loose, I don't mean we're spending a ton, even though we probably are. I mean, we got to start getting specifics. We got to start getting memos in front of us. We just got to be tighter with this stuff, and we're getting ready for budget, and I want to make sure we're on it, because if we have to recover from 6% from education, we're not going to be able to cut other budgets down to 1% to cover the 6% for education. We're not. So we're going to have to find money somewhere if we want to pass anything close to that 6%. Thanks.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I did remember what I wanted to say, and Alderman Sullivan and Alderman Clemens have both touched on it. As Vice Chair of Finance, I really would like to see the reasons why these things aren't being brought in front of Finance, and to what Director Sullivan had said about some things, precedences, some things not coming forward. Unless it's below 25,000, I would like to also hear as to why they didn't have to come through Finance. I don't want to question anybody's authority, but Finance is there, it's a charter committee, and it's always been that things come through there. Sadly, people want to refer to us as a rubber stamp committee, which we are not. We take that job very seriously, and we ask those questions. We've asked them about when it comes to purchasing vehicles and so on. So I really would like to get a memo, and I know Director Sullivan's already said he would do it, so I do appreciate, and I appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
All set? Okay. Motion is for final passage. By roll call. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman Clemens.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries. Resolution 2612 is declared duly adopted.
Second reading of R-26-007, authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed $5,500,000 for the Public Works Division garage design.
Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend R 26007 by replacing it with a goldenrod copy of recommended amendments, and I'd like to speak to it.
Alderman Dowd.
Just to reiterate what was brought in before, if we pass this resolution to amend, it's going to go back for a public hearing and back to budget, and then come back again to the Board of Aldermen. So I would recommend that we're going from 5.5 million to 3 million because there are items that are not going to be done. But we can discuss that in full when this comes back before a public hearing and the Budget Committee and the Board of Aldermen again.
Motion is to amend. Discussion on that? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries. Alderman Dowd.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendments and schedule a special Board of Aldermen public hearing on Resolution R 26007 as amended, followed by a Budget Review Committee meeting on Monday, March 23rd, 2026, starting at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
So we don't need to approve the amendments again. We just did that, so,
Okay, I'm just reading a script.
okay. All right. The motion, you heard the motion. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I've been advised to abstain due to doing work with one of the named parties.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
12 yeas, 0 nays.
That
and
motion carries.
1 abstention.
Unfinished business ordinances.
None.
New business resolutions.
First reading of R-26-016 regarding federal immigration enforcement activity and community safety and well-being.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Clemmons, Alderman O'Brien, Alderman Senate, Alderman Lopez, Alderman Clee, Alderman Dowd, Alderman Smith. Okay, given its first reading, I'll send that to the Personnel Administrative Affairs Committee.
First reading of R-26-017, approving the cost items of a collective bargaining agreement between the National Board of Police Commissioners and the National Police Patrolmen's Association from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2030.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Clemmons, Alderman Smith, Alderman Tebow, Alderman O'Brien, Alderman Morgan, Alderman Clee, Alderman Sullivan, Alderman Senate, Alderman Lopez. Given its first reading, I'll sign that to the Budget Review Committee. New business ordinances.
None.
Here to general public comment. We have 2 people signed up. Stephen Scare.
Good evening, Madam President. My concern is homelessness as the summer approaches, and with that, addiction that's touched a lot of our families. Last summer, the Cove was packed with people, many of them in blue matching tents that I assume someone must have donated, but also people with trailers. One trailer had a deck and a gas grill. And last fall, emphatically, people said, the city can't move people because they don't have any place else to go. Well, that isn't true. I visited the Cove in January. It was empty. There wasn't a single homeless person there. No one was camping. And I'm very glad that people found safe, warm places to live. But we need to acknowledge that they have safe, warm places to live. In order to solve the homeless problem, we need to find out, and maybe you already know, the people that pack in the Cove in Mine Falls, where do they go in the winter? Where are they now? And why do they prefer camping out at Mine Falls as opposed to staying wherever they are now? My biggest concern about this is a lot of the people there, people have different stories, different reasons that they're there. A lot of them clearly have addiction problems. And are some of them coming out to escape the restrictions of wherever they're staying? And are we enabling and even encouraging, incentivizing people to pursue their addictions? So again, I'd love to hear, I'd love someone to follow up. Where are the homeless people now who are going to be packed in there in May and June? Thank you.
Bob Keating?
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President. My name is Bob Keating, 5 Coburn Woods Drive, and speaking as a member of Granite State Organizing Project and the Social Justice Committee of the Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm speaking about the warming center on Elm Street, and specifically about it closing on April 15th, 26 as planned. As it is a very important resource for the homeless in our community, and many people have spoken about this on multiple occasions about it, and including our previous speaker and our honoree tonight, Sue Mead, who I appreciate so much for her efforts over 40 years now. Since our last aldermanic meeting, there have been significant developments related to our warming station and also the ordinance that was passed about banning camping. Last week, the House of Representatives passed HB 1091. The bill would require town and cities to provide an option for a non-monetary penalty in lieu of a cash financial penalty for any ordinance or bylaws prohibiting sleeping or camping outdoors. It passed unanimously in the House. It's headed toward the Senate. The date has not been set for its hearing for that. If it passes, it means our city's ordinance would have to be modified to create a non-monetary option. If 1091 gets passed and becomes a law, it adds one more strong reason for the importance of keeping our Elm Street warming center station open beyond April 15th. There is a current piece of legislation being worked on in this chamber to do exactly that, to keep our warming station open. I hope each and every one of you, when you get a chance to review that, will become a co-signer of that, and that it will pass unanimous. And finally, in terms of Mr. Skerry's, where are the people that, as Sue Mead spoke about that, about 40 to 50 people are at our warming station on a given night, and upwards of 20 people are the overflow space at the soup kitchen. So that's where they are at this point in time. So I just wanted to update people where things are, and since it will be coming forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remarks by members of the board. I'm going to start over here with Tom Lopez.
What a segue. All right. So to some of the comments that were made in public comment, I was taken aback because literally earlier in this meeting, it was commented that 40 to 50 people were over at the warming station and that there was the emergency overflow. But it occurred to me that some people may actually hear that information and not understand what it means. I know all of us in the chamber have been exposed to this information over and over again, and people who are passionate about the issue are educated in these areas, but the warming station is an awake emergency warming station because of severe cold weather. So when you have 40 or 50 people in a large room together that have to stay awake, it's because they don't have anywhere to go. It's not a hobby location, there's no activities or arts and crafts, it's literally a emergency survival tool, and it closes in April. So when we say, where have they all gone? I mean, a good chunk of them are over there. When we talk about cold weather emergency overflow, that means the fire marshal has temporarily approved the emergency shelters in the city, which are generally at capacity throughout the year, to add more cots and more spaces beyond the level that they would consider ordinarily a good idea, but recognizing that cold weather emergencies, we have had people, freeze due to exposure. So that's a whole program and a whole endeavor I would encourage members of the public to look into. Nobody even mentioned the soup kitchens warming station, which is also operating. No, I would disagree personally with my knowledge of the people that are there. They don't have anywhere to go. Many of them didn't really go anywhere. We've been working to try to place them and engage them and connect them with services, but then more people usually get displaced and also need those services too. So there are a lot of organizations in the city that are very engaged in this issue, and there's a lot of people who are probably more familiar, more educated on the issue, that I think it would be a good idea for us as aldermen to look at as resources. Sadly, tonight, we're going to be losing Sue Mead in that particular role. Having worked with her for all of my career, which is a little over 20, and knowing she did it for 40, I don't think she's going to be idle for long. I know she wants to be, but she cares genuinely about the people that are there. They're not just a number of people that set up tents that look identical and inconvenience people who are out on their walks. These are people whose stories she's followed for years, who have triumphed and achieved things, and then also had setbacks or in every other order. So there are people like Sue. I would extend that same definition to Mr. Keating, who spoke earlier tonight. There are a lot of people who are really trying to make a difference in these people's lives. And I think we do need to start moving on figuring out what we're going to do for a resource center, because there needs to be a better city representation in addressing this issue rather than only when crises are starting to impact members of the public who are not necessarily as familiar with these nuances. So I just wanted to comment on that, and I also wanted to commend all the organizations that are doing so much of that important work. Earlier, I spoke tongue-in-cheek during the roll call, and I think I let my intrusive thought win because I thought I was being funny, but I thought about it about a minute afterwards. I was like, that was probably insensitive. So I just want to apologize to my fellow aldermen who are home providing childcare, because it's not like you get a break from being an alderman. You made a point to be here and be attentive and engaged. And I was just focusing more on the fact that I was different from the last two people because I don't have children, but I do want to make sure that it's clear that I respect the many roles that other people on the board do fill. And then finally, St. Patrick's Day is coming up next week. I don't want to steal any other alderman's thunder, but I did want to direct people who might be interested to Joanne's Kitchen. They are running a program in partnership with Nashua Veterans Promise, where you can buy a St. Patrick's Day dinner for a veteran, and then Joanne's will provide I guess a boiled dinner to veterans that are staying at Delena's house.
Anyone else? Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. I remember when the Delena's house was being built, back when. The old timer here. First of all, I would like to say that I've been, some of my constituents have reached out to me to find out what's going to happen after April 15th with the warming station. And So I'm glad we started having a conversation about this evening because, you know, it's a horrible thing when you see people homeless, especially when they have drug addiction. That's the hardest thing with the mental illness. With that said, I know we'll probably all work on this together because we need to make sure people are safe. I want to let my colleagues know on the board, I know on March 19th we have a meeting at 7 o'clock, but I want to reach out to the aldermen at large especially. At 6 o'clock, we're having the West Hollis Street Corridor meeting at 848 West Hollis Street at the Administration Building. And I think it's important for the aldermen at large, which I've always said, you need to hear what's going on West Hollis Street. This I think will be the third meeting that we've had. We need to find out what's going to happen with West Hollis Street. There's been several designs, it's a good time to interact with the people in the ward. I've been sending out notices. I'm hoping that we'll have a good crowd. I know that, again, we have a meeting at 7 o'clock, and I plan to be at the meeting, probably will be late. But this is something that we need to discuss because West Hollis Street is a main thoroughfare, if you want to talk about main thoroughfares, as I look at it, because to get into Hollis, to get into Pepperell, you have to go through Nashua and West Hollis Street, and that road is torn apart. When we opened up the charter school, which is a great school, we didn't plan very well, the planning board, because now, and I was always the one who said, you should put up some type of lights, because now they've opened up another building this year, and the parents line up, and when there's no breakdown lane, to drop the children off and pick them up. And in the morning and in the evening, you cannot exit the property. And I'm afraid there's going to be a bad accident there. So I'm encouraging the aldermen at large to please come, even if it's just for a half hour, to hear what's being proposed, hear what my constituents say, and then we can all gather here at 7 o'clock for this meeting. Thank you very much.
Alderman Sullivan. Oh, sorry. Alderman McKelly?
Sorry, the color of my hand kind of just like blends to the wall, so I apologize. Thank you. I just wanted to address a couple of things. When we were talking about approaching the builds and really just appropriating for the design first, I think that makes sense. What I wanted to say about that is those still have shelf lives, so we're gonna do this design and we can't just put it on the shelf for 5 years after that. So we are still entering into the idea that we are going to do this project. So my comment was just that. So I think that, you know, the garage needs to be built, and I know it's a good step forward. So looking forward to that coming through. The other thing I wanted to address was the personnel committee. We have talked about this multiple times in committee, that the way that we interview everyone is new people come through that are appointed, reappointments are generally not re-interviewed unless requested, and a blanket request to bring everybody who's spending a lot of their time volunteering for the city to come in is just not something that we've done. We are assuming that the committees are talking to the mayor, making sure that it's still a good fit before it comes to us for reappointments. But always are open to, you know, this specific thing happened, or you would really, this person hasn't been in for 10 years. Would love to talk to them quickly about what the work they are doing there. So just wanted to address that has been talked about in the committee, and as aldermen, we are also free to reach out and ask questions to people if we don't know them.
Can I respond to that, please?
Okay.
Thank you very much. I did ask, the first meeting in February, I did ask the alderwoman to please, because I'm new, don't know a lot of people. I know people by faces, maybe by name. I haven't spoken to them. And I think it would be very good for the new people to be able to interact with members that are being reappointed. Just ask them, what do you like about the committee? What have you felt that you have done with this committee? Just a couple quick questions. And there's no reason why you can't do that on a reappointment. You do it on a new appointment, why can't you bring somebody in on a reappointment? And so I just had to respond to that because I did ask for that. And when I came into the Personnel Administrative Committee, there was nobody. So I'm just giving my view. Again, thank you very much.
Remarks by members?
Yes.
Alderman
I was just
Sullivan.
waiting for a rebuttal. Yes, a couple of things. First, the budget. I've been watching the separate departments. I know we've alluded to it a couple of times tonight. I've watched the DPW. They came in at, I think, a 7. I think the schools came in at 6. I'm eagerly awaiting police and fire, as those are the 4 big pillars that build our budget. And I'm aware of the mayor putting the 3% edict out there, and the only thing I could think of is, so I'll be interested to see how the cake is baked when it comes. I'm not on the budget committee this term, but I will be eagerly watching. I think back to conversations that I have with Mrs. Sullivan at home about where does all our money go. Well, we know now it goes to college tuition, but you always think month to month where your inflows and outflows don't quite match up, and hard choices need to be made. So eagerly awaiting the discussions and what budgets look like. More on a note on global issues, I guess. And my thoughts are with, I had the opportunity this past week and to talk with a couple of families. They have deployed sons and daughters in the Air Force and in the Navy. Specifically, these are Nashua families. And I just want them to know that my thoughts are with them. If you're not familiar, both of them are deployed, and they are completely off the grid. You don't hear from them. You have no idea where they are. And my thoughts go out to those parents that are on pins and needles. I'm familiar with it. I will be more familiar with it come the summer. But I just wanted to say that my thoughts are with you, and Godspeed, and I hope they get home safe. Thanks.
Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, just a couple things. I had an opportunity to go home last night and watch the Board of Ed budget meeting, and quite interesting. And they had an executive overview. When I was talking to the superintendent today, I asked him if he would send us a copy of their executive overview. And he told me he will send all of the budget presentations they gave to the Budget Committee of the Board of Education to all the aldermen, probably, I told him, through Donna. And so we'll have all of that information. Also, I just want to mention one thing. As I said, I have a lot of experience in repairs of equipment, and these turbines are over 20 years old. I don't know exactly how long, but I know they're at least 20 years old. And when you open up an old piece of equipment and you're going to replace part A, you look at it, hey, this other part has failed. And we don't have any idea, nobody has any idea how much that part costs. So if they can't fix that, and the whole thing can't be fixed, like I said, it's going to take 6 weeks for them to come back and get any additional money. It made a hell of a lot of sense to give them the monies that they can be sure they can get these things done. Because, again, we may have missed the major melting going on, but that water hasn't all gone through the dam yet. It's finding its way to the ponds. So I would hate to lose the revenue that we get from that. The other thing is, as we talk about the sand, salt, and everything else, this winter has done another thing to the city. Potholes. And even on Tinker Road that was just repaved like 2 years ago, there are a couple of spots that are really bad. But I can imagine the rest of the city, the plows have torn up a lot of potholes. So we can expect that cost coming up. And this probably should have waited till committee assignments. I want to say that Donna has put out a tentative list of, or requests for the departments to pick the dates for them to come in. I would also like the aldermen on the budget committee to watch for those dates and make sure that they don't have an issue either, so everybody has an opportunity to go through each and every one of the departments. So, all right.
Alderman O'Brien, are you all set? Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I'm thinking we should have given more money to the turbines, because I don't know what we're going to find in there. First off, I just want to echo Alderman Johnson's comments. I think we do occasionally need to bring some people back. I mean, you know, David Fredette, we all know David Fredette. We don't have to bring David Fredette back. We've known him for a long time. Most people have, but maybe the new people don't. I don't know. And so I get it. Would I bring everybody back? No, not necessarily. But I think it is good to, and I think myself and Alderman Johnson should be ready to look at people that we see on the agenda and ask for them to come back in. I have no problem with that. I think it's worth having conversations with people that are doing work for us in the city, I think. The other thing I have is, so I think to some of the comments that were made in public comment about the homeless, I think honestly, outside of the ones that stayed in Nashua that were Nashua, I think if people came here from other places and they found out they couldn't camp here anymore, they might have went back to where they were doing it originally. And I'm not saying that solves any problem, because it presents a problem somewhere else. But to everybody else's point, they did. They went to the warming stations, they went to the shelters. Manchester closed their shelter last month, their warming station, I should say, not their shelter. So I'm not really for moving this further into the spring. I could probably go with, the end of April maybe, but I don't want to do more supplemental appropriations to push this out as it gets warmer. I wish we would have had a resource center by now. I know there's been some issues with getting that going. I went to the encampment work group today that LaTanya Musioli was running, and she went over the same stuff that the mayor had mentioned earlier in some of the comments. There's 40 people that, staying at the warming station most nights on average. She was the one that told me that Manchester had closed last month. Sergeant Karen was there. He spoke to so another place they've gone deeper into the woods, some of them, right? So it's not technically an encampment, right? 2 people deep into the woods, 3 people over there. Salina Ave, from what they were saying on the call, was still an issue. So Sergeant Karen just mentioned that there really hasn't been, obviously, any encampments in the winter for people to arrest. He just explained how he would enforce the ordinance. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to be able to pay the money. I don't think the money's the issue. I'm okay with going to no money penalty. But we got to enforce that ordinance. But we also got to find a way to help the people that are homeless, and we got to find a way to help. And LaTanya did say that the 40 people that were coming in on average every night, they were working with and trying to find places for them. The big problem is IDs. Having them get an ID is not always easy when they've had other problems in the past, and trying to get landlords to take them in. So it's definitely been difficult. We got to get that resource center going, and I'm willing to look for other ways to help them, but we really have to get them places to stay permanently and not just, temporary places. So, thank you.
Alderman Smith?
First I'll start in addressing what my colleague Alderman Tabolda just said regarding the warming stations, and I'm sitting over here, just wrote a little note and thinking about the ordinance, is that I think we need to think about these individuals as our community members. These are, although not directly related to anyone right now that's in one of the warming centers, thank goodness, but this is our community. These are our people. And so we need to think about how can we take care of them. There's just no way I would have anyone in my family out on the streets after April 15th. So we need to look at that deadline as something as challenging as it is. And we know it's a complex issue. And not everyone is wanting us to house them. But we do need to figure out something that we can do for the individuals that are in the warming stations. And whether it's a resource center or whatever, I think we have to start going beyond the conversation. As a new member of this wonderful horseshoe, I'm getting lots of phone calls and emails. And it's all about the warming station and how we are managing the homeless. And for me, I think when you say the word homeless, it's almost like you're trying to push away and make a distance. But these are our community members. People don't travel to come here to be homeless for the most part. These are individuals who, due to some unfortunate circumstances, find themselves in a place that they don't want to be. So I hope we can start to think about how we can make some decisions or use our budgets in a way that will help them. And when I think about the ordinance, I put down, I have a little note over here in my paper, ordinance equals poor people tax. I would hate to think that we, who don't do taxes here in New Hampshire, would come up with something that would seem like it's some sort of poor people's penalty or a penalty for someone who can't afford housing. So I just want to challenge us to think about how we deal with the issue of homelessness in Nashville, because that's not who we are. And the other thing, on another note, across the horseshoe to my wonderful colleague, Alderman Johnson, thank you for joining me after I did my first tour as a new person with the Department of Works, DPW. And you check out everything, you meet some wonderful people, they do great work for us. And when they took me to their break room, I almost broke down and cried. I think I saw a chair that I put out 5 years ago in the break room that someone was utilizing. And I was like, this cannot happen. So I really appreciate Director Photo and what she's doing and the individuals there. And I told them, I said, as I stand before you, you will have some new seating. So Ward 6 is going to be following up. And I thank you. I reached out to you and you, Alderman Johnson, just stepped right up and beat me over there with your chairs. I've got 4 chairs in my car. And because we're Ward 6, I'm committing to 6. So if any of you want some more information about that, it's just a little thing we're doing that means a lot. When I'm in my home and I hear the snow plows going by, I think about these gentlemen and the fact they're out there just like all night practically or early in the morning, and that when they want to take a break, that it would be great for them. Yes, there's a break table there, there's a break chair, but for them to be able to sit back in a zero gravity chair for 15 minutes is a wonderful thing after being out there for probably double and triple shifts. So if you want more information, talk to us about it. The other thing, I am loving the conversation around turbines, and I really appreciate Matt Sullivan and all the work that he has done in trying to provide us information. And I think one of the things I want us to think about is something that was mentioned the other night, when he talked about that although they're asking for this money, and yes, we've got to start thinking about when you remove something, you're going to find all kinds of issues and problems when you start taking those things apart. And I think the more that we can be prepared with backup parts, it makes the most sense. But the other thing I really appreciated was hearing that based on the revenue that we get when the turbines are working, that the repairs that we're going to do, they're going to pay for themselves in the next 3 to 5 years. So I want us to keep that in mind as we move forward with these things. So those are my comments.
I would just like to, Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I know it's hard to see us up there. So one of the bad things about being one of the last people is that as people are talking, I have time to think and write things down. But lucky for you, I seem to be having a little bit of double vision, so I may not be able to read all of my notes. I do want to make comment about where do people go. We know that they didn't suddenly find a place to live. The fact that we've got the number of people in the warming station and so on. And while there may not be encampments that our police are finding or that people are turning in, I do believe we still have people that are living out on the street and that don't have a place to go. And the truth is, homeless doesn't necessarily mean unhoused. We have people who are couch surfing and so on. And we also want to remember that homeless does not mean drug user either. There are a lot of people and families that don't have homes because of a catastrophic issue that had happened. And I know I've shared the story before when I lived in Ogden, Utah, and I came home for Christmas. And Christmas Eve, I got that phone call that my apartment burnt down, and I lost everything except for my car. I came home to only my car, and if it weren't for the graciousness of so many kind people that I worked with and so on that helped me find a place to live, Red Cross coming to my aid, and family members being able to there, I was lucky to have that fail-safe, and I'm always grateful for it. But I also believe that so many people are one paycheck or one catastrophic issue to happen. So I know we need to work harder on our homelessness issue, And I do believe that the resource center, at least a temporary resource center, is either up or coming up, and using the trailers from the Elm Street and bringing them to Mulberry Street and so on. So I do believe we have at least some form of a resource center that's going to be happening. I want to thank Sumit for all of the incredible work that she has done. And I also want to make comment to the West Hollis Street meeting. I have gone to those in the past. I'm hoping to attend part of it. I have a planning board meeting also that night that I have to run back to. So, and it's an important one that I can't miss. So, I will be going to the beginning of it at least, and so on. I want to thank Alderman Lopez for all the work that he does with the Delaney's House and the veterans there. And I know Alderman Morgan has also been so, strong in her commitment to the Delaney's House as well. All those listening, and my constituents are going to get another email about Joanne's Kitchen. Please, it doesn't cost a lot, but it means a lot to the veterans there. Joanne's Kitchen has always stepped up and really helped to make a special meal for different holidays, whether it be Veterans Day, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, New Year's Eve, Christmas. We have a lot of different places that do that, but they seem to be the number one that steps up. And so not only do I suggest that you make a donation to help with this, but stop by Joanne's Kitchen. They make a great breakfast. I've been very, very happy to have one. I just had breakfast there with Alderman Morgan not that long ago. So, but I also want to make some comments about the Personnel Committee reappointments. A year or so ago, I had suggested that they come forward. In truth, after speaking to a number of people and reappointments and so on, while I don't think it's a bad idea, I don't necessarily think that we should. There are people that are on committees that I've never met either. I've taken the time to either contact them or contact the chair and ask the chair, are they engaged? Do they come to meetings and so on? I want to trust the chair and the mayor as having done the necessary work, and I'll do a little extra work if I have to. I am not on the personnel committee, but I still believe in stepping up and doing that as well. I also want to, let me make sure I have this correct here. Yeah, two more things if that's okay. For those departments who send information to the different committees because they're going in front of that committee, and maybe I stand alone on this request, but I would like to request that that information go to the entire Board of Aldermen, because I know recently when I went to a committee meeting, it was referenced to a memo that had gone out to, I believe it was the Budget Committee, and I'm there trying to also participate, not that I can vote, but participate, and I didn't have that memo. So I would have appreciated having had that and so on. So I'm asking departments that when you send something to a committee, that instead of just sending it to the committee, please send it to the Board of Aldermen. You can address it to the committee, but make sure we all get that. And I want to end with a positive note and a thank you to the United Way, who had asked for volunteers for what they called the reading program. And I had the privilege of speaking to first graders and to kindergarten students and read them a book called Gizmo Possum, The Guide to Mental Health. And Gizmo is a small dog from Connecticut who is he's a spokesperson, this little tiny dog that's about the size of our hand that spoke to him. And it was wonderful to speak to these young minds and to talk to them about their sadness and their anger and their being worried, and to speak to them that their mental health is as important as their physical health. Some of them were more interested in the dog than the book, but there was one little person who kind of broke down during that, and I didn't ask the question why. The teacher came over, kind of took that person, that little one, that little kiddo away to speak with them. There were people that spoke to me about loss of family members, loss of pets. We had this conversation, which was so amazing. And we don't think of first graders or kindergartners to be able to process all this, but they process it in a way that adults can't understand. So to teach them to trust people, trust themselves. One little girl told me that she misses her dad so much she talks to her pillow. I was holding emotions back, but it was just an amazing thing to be able to talk to these children. And I really want to thank the United Way for doing this program and all of the great work that they do. And I will end with that. Thank you.
I just wanted to commend the National Police Department on their accreditation once again. They've been accredited for, I don't know, 20 years maybe? Quite a while. But it doesn't get old. I mean, they still have to meet all the standards that accreditation lays out for them. And, you know, they always pass with flying colors, and I just want to commend them for, once again, being a nationally accredited agency. And that's all I have. Alderman Clemmons. Oh, committee announcements. Yeah. I don't need a whole thing about what's going on in the committee. Just tell me what the committee is. Alderman Lopez.
March 16th, Human Affairs meeting.
Thank you. Alderman Tebow.
St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, we have a public hearing followed by a PDC.
Okay. Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the March 10th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Aldermen be adjourned by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tebow.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan.
Yes.
Alderman Senate.
Yes.
Alderman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Morgan.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
That motion carries, and we are adjourned at 9:22 p.m. Thank you, everyone.